Hey guys, I'm Mark.
I'm Alen.
And welcome to another episode of The Next Man Up. Well, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Next Man Up podcast, where we are helping you to raise up the next generation of men, because we believe that when boys become healthy and godly men, everyone benefits. My name is Mark Stanifer, happy to be with you, and I'm also happy to have my sidekicks, Alen Auguste, Josh Wilson, with me once again. Guys, good to be with you. Welcome in.
Great to be here.
Always.
So, Alen, I know that in this COVID season, we've all been finding different ways to occupy our time, different things that we can get into. But you've been doing some interesting work, and so I want to just kind of tease that out today. The work that you've been doing with a recent artist album, trying to understand that, and then apply that to what it means more broadly as we're thinking about helping our boys, our kids navigate the media landscape.
Oh, let me start off by saying a disclaimer. I'm not weird. I just want to throw that out there before I jump into this. I just like to see what's behind the curtain, kind of like Wizard of Oz kind of a deal.
Okay.
And just peel back layers on things. So look, man, I am a big like action movie guy. I love music. Those two things right there. You hear me referencing like stuff all the time. It's because I like to watch things. I like to listen to things. Like right now, well, actually we're finished, but my family and we do this whole like social distancing thing. We've watched every Marvel movie in chronological order, including all deleted scenes and like extra scenes.
Okay, well
that's impressive, man.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's a lot of movie watching.
Yeah, man. And here's the part where I threw out the disclaimer. I'm not weird. Then my family's like, at that point they're like, okay, we're done. It was pretty cool to watch everything in order and to see things and whatnot. I'm the guy who goes online and like reads up on other people's notes about certain scenes in the movies, finds all the Easter eggs, and then I'll watch movies again.
Okay.
I'm just that weird because I want to see things. No, I'm not weird. I said I'm not weird. I just like to see what's behind. Like there's so many interesting things. And so not only like movies, but also mention music. Right now, like as a fellow rapper, as a rapper, I love to dive into people's hip hop lyrics, actually indie lyrics in general. If I find a song that I really feel like connected to, or if something is said that is intriguing to me, I will do the same exact thing. Like I like to decipher things. I want to see why a person said what he or she said there. What was the meaning behind it? Was it intended for someone or something? And just to dig deep. It's the rabbit hole. And Eminem just came out with an album, and I'm kind of hesitant because I'm like, man, a lot of our listeners are probably like, what? Eminem? Look, he's a brilliant artist, and he just came out with an album called Music to Be Murdered By. Yes, I know. As soon as you say that, it's like,
never one to shy away from controversy, right?
I don't think he just shies away from controversy. I think he sets out to cause it.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I have an old friend. We used to call him the grenade launcher. He'd walk in a room and just throw a grenade like of words, or he'll ask a question that's like a grenade, and then he'll quietly and secretly step back as everybody approaches. Watch it blow up in everybody's faces. Nah, man. I just think that there's like we're human beings and we're all at different places, and we can all like maybe not specifically learn from that person, but from people's experiences we can learn things. And we can even hear like some stuff that we could apply to our lives, but at the same time we can hear stuff that's probably not all that well, as well. And so I'm jumping into this Eminem thing, and I'm telling you, dude, brilliant artist. But yet at the same time so controversial, right? I mean, in one song, I think it was Godzilla. You find him in one song, Godzilla. You could find him talking about Bob Heenan, an old ex wrestler, ex wrestling manager, his past issues with alcohol and drug abuse. You could find him talking about his struggle with mental health issues. You could find him talking about another MC or a group of MCs that are talking about him in the past, and he's finally releasing like words to slash back at them with, all within like 2 lines.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean by layer. There's layers and layers and layers. It's like, what are you talking about right here? What are you saying right here? And as I'm going down this rabbit hole, I think it's really, I don't know, it comes back to me. It reminds me of how important it is to be able to catch what you are getting in media and to be able to decipher it. And as like an old friend of mine used to say, eat the meat and spit out the bones. In other words, take what's good and the rest of it, like, just discard it, because it's not going to do you any good. And so, like, I watch these movies with my kids, my wife. When I was youth pastor for 10 years, one of the things I used to do is I used to take kids and go see the biggest blockbuster movie. But it was important, and I find it important to sit down with people and just think through, like, okay, what did you hear? What did you see? Because media, dads, our sons are always getting hit by something in media. And the question needs to come about of, like, how do I help them catch what they're getting and decipher it?
So when you say catch, what do you mean?
Oh, thank you for saying that. All right. So I read this book. It's called How to Read a Book.
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
See, I started reading it and made it through, I think, 2 chapters, and then I didn't finish How to Read a Book.
Right. It's really deep, and it's the title can be very, what's the word I'm looking for? It could push you away, because it's like, this is so simple, like how to read a book. I mean, if you're gonna read the book, then why are you reading about how to read a book? You should already know how to read. Like, that's the thoughts that are running through my head. But then I opened the book up, and it was like, oh, this is what you're talking about. But in the first chapter, he talks about, like, media, in that they're like, our media is like a pitcher, and they're throwing to you, the catcher. And the thought is, what exactly is the media throwing your way? And do you know when it's a curveball? Do you know when it's a fast pitch? Do you know when it's a slow ball, a slow pitch? Do you know when it's a strike? And you know when it's a ball? You know, it's like, so he's talking in all this lingo, and what he's talking about is that, you know, it's kind of like, I think a couple weeks ago when Josh was talking about his niece and nephew, right? And you were talking to him about commercials.
No, it wasn't a commercial. It was any commercial.
Any commercial, right? And what did you tell him? You said, well, they're lying to you.
Yeah. It's all lies.
It's all lies, right? It's like Axe body spray. You buy this spray and you spray it all over your body, and you will become, like, completely desirable by any woman.
Supermodel magnet.
You know what I'm saying? Like, or the Orbitz gum. Like, you chew this gum and smile, and there's going to be a bright bling that comes from your teeth, and anyone in the room is going to be attracted to you. Like
that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Like, I used to tell, and I still do, working in middle school. I tell middle school boys all the time, listen, Axe body spray plus 40,000 years of funk that is coming from your body does not mix. You have to take a shower. You have to brush your teeth. You have to put deodorant on. Like, like do something besides just spraying yourself down with Axe body spray and calling it good in the morning. Like, it's not going to work for anything, right? And so he's talking about like catching what the media is throwing at you. Are you understanding what they want you to catch? Because what they want you to catch is that you be attractive. What they want you to catch is all the lies that in deception that comes to it, because they want to sell you something and want you to be influenced by something, but you're also catching things that maybe you don't necessarily want to catch. Things that make you maybe not understand or see the world as it truly is, and so like when I read this book and I think about that, that's what I mean about like, dads, we got to help our sons understand what they're catching, because there's more than meets the eye through music, through movies, through TV shows, through YouTube channels. There's more than meets the eye than what you see at face value. And what we think is like, oh yeah, that's harmless, that's simple, or that's good, or that's bad. There's more to it than that. And so it becomes our fatherly duty, I think, to step in and say, hey, son, like, let's sit down, let's talk about this together, because I think there's more to this than you think.
So, Alen, you've been working with kids outside your family and inside your family for a number of years, helping them to do this. What are some of the things that you've found that are helpful, like in the practical how-tos, whether it's commercials or it's music or it's video games? Like how have you engaged with young people, specifically in some ways that have helped them to become more aware of whatever that media is sending that they want these young people to catch?
There's so much to run through mind when you ask that question. I mean, you can start really anywhere, but like for me, I think it's very important that relationship has to be established, that as you want to go down this road with in this case, your son, or with your daughter, or with kid next door, or whatever kid that you connect with, if you want to do this, then you can't come in with the idea of black and white notion. Like everything is either bad or everything is either good. And I think that's really hard for us as fathers, because we love our kids and we want to protect our kids. And so anything that has an inkling of even looking like it's going to present some harm to our kids, then we say, no, that's just bad. Don't jump into that. And we forget to explain why we even think that way. So and that could be a turnoff, I think.
Let me pause you there, because what comes to mind initially is like a TV rating or an explicit rating on a song. Mm-hmm. And I think what I'm hearing you say is, or at least the way I'm translating it for me is, even if it doesn't have fill in the rating blank, or just because it has fill in the rating blank, doesn't mean it's bad or good. The ratings are a system to help us be more aware, but you're saying mm-hmm. it's not that simple. It's deeper than that.
Yes. And don't get me wrong. Let me take a step back. Like, I'm not saying like let your son or daughter be involved in anything. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying, though, is that we need to, instead of running from things, maybe approach it with our in this case, our sons, and say, well, ask the question, why are you interested in this? Mm. Instead of just shutting it down right away. Let me just give you an example. My son's in the rap as well. There's this feud going on right now, like with old school versus new school. new rappers versus old school rappers, OGs versus the young guns. I mean, you take it anywhere you want. It's a generational thing that every generation before and after always struggle with, right? Like, who's better? And so I listen to old school rap, so to speak, and my son listens to like new school rap. And so while he listens to it, you know, like I can hear it coming out of his headphones at one point, and then like he was playing stuff like in his room and whatever, and I've just had a notion just to ask the question, like, son, what are you listening to? And then he begins to tell me who it is, and I mean, there's some of these guys I'm like, I don't even know how you even got your name. Like, what? I don't. You know, it used to be like, you know, your rap name was like, you know, Conscious or Most Def, or it was Black Thought, or, you know what I mean? But now it's like X triple N Chini Chono, Baby DNA, NBA. I'm like, what are all the like? So, you know, and right then and there, this is what I'm saying. Like, I get, oh man, this stuff is stupid. Stop listening to it. That's the first thought. And it's like, no. Don't do that. Engage some more now. So I'm asking, who you listening? What's the song that he or she is singing or rapping? And then I throw out the question. Well, let me listen to it with you. Let me see what's up. And you know, so we're going down the road and we're bumping it into my car, and I'm hearing all kinds of crazy language and like shocking things that, you know, my parental you know, alert is like alarming at this moment. I'm hearing people getting shot. I'm hearing treating women like objects. I'm hearing money is all that matters. Like, I don't care kind of a thing. Like, and I have to ask, like, after all those thoughts pass away, like, it's like, so what do you like about this artist? Like, what makes you go, man, this is a really good artist? Is it the beat? Is it the lyrics? What lyric? Or is it how he said something or she said something? Why did it hit you in this way? Like, what are you feeling right now when you hear this song? And what does it make you think of? Like, I'm asking these questions because I'm trying to help my son see what this song is throwing his direction, and what he's catching from it. And I mean, even questions like, so what do you think this song is about? Like, what do you think the artist meant when they said this? And then allow him to talk. And I do this a lot. I allow my son to talk. I allow my girls to talk. And then it automatically comes up. Like, Dad, what do you think? Like, what are your thoughts? And I'm able, so what happens is this conversation over something that they are allowing in their world. And then they get my counsel. They get my so-called wisdom about this thing and my experience. Well, hey man, in my experience, man, it's like money isn't everything. Money isn't everything at all. And this is what I think that the artist is trying to tell you. But like, here's what I think matters in life. What do you think matters in life? And now we're dialoguing about life things, you know. And if I would have started with, oh man, look, nah, he's cussing. He calls this woman a beep, like, and all that. Like, nah, turn it off. I would have never have gotten to that point with my son about a song, right? And I would have never had conversations.
Yep.
I wouldn't say never. I would have not walked through an open door for conversation about life. That really was really good for him and for me. You know what I mean? And also, it was also their great opportunity, and what a great opportunity to help my son see what is coming his way, like a fast pitch, that could really like damage or cause some like harm or influence his psyche, the way he sees things and people around him, relationships, and what he feels is priority 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in life. You know what I mean?
While you were talking, there was a movie that popped to mind, and it was Footloose. And Footloose, which was before my time. Just want to put that out there. Not a contemporary of Footloose.
Still an interesting movie, man. I
interesting movie.
Down.
the female lead's father is this pastor who basically rejects the whole idea of dancing and joy outright because of some wounding in his past. And as a result, his daughter goes and runs off with the main character, who's, I can't remember any of their names right now because I haven't seen the movie in a long time. But by shutting down any conversation about the idea of joy and the idea of dancing, he ends up putting his daughter, or causing his daughter, to run into a fairly dangerous situation. Because that's about the summary of the movie, more or less. It isn't until he actually sits down and listens to his daughter's heart about why she's making these sorts of decisions, and the fact that she points out his refusal to find joy. It's not till that point until he starts to reconnect with his daughter. And it sounds as though by just what you're advocating, or what you're describing, is short-circuiting that terrible process of losing a relationship with your son by just wading into the deep water with them and helping them sort through and sift through the media that they're going to be exposed to once they are full-fledged men.
Yeah, and I would add that even the media that, like, they're fully exposed to now, like, look, I don't even know how to, like, describe the magnitude of connection to the world that we have today. Like, it is unreal. Look, I came from, and I thought my generation was connected. Like, I came from the tape deck, CD. If you wanted to, like, connect with someone across seas, you would pick up the telephone and pay, like, crazy amounts of money to talk to someone in China, or, like, you would send a letter. like today, man, my son can play a video game and talk to people from, like, 14 different countries, like, in one setting, all through, like, a video game. There's connection there, right? So we're way more connected, which also means there's huge amounts of like, media inlets into our lives than there was when we were younger, or our parents were younger, or even just take even 10 years ago. It's just way more advanced, and there's way more connection. And so, like, it's like our kids' eyes are being full of things all the time. And I know that can express anxiety and stress, and you can be like, oh my gosh, I got to put my kid on lockdown. I want to make sure I look, yes, we need to protect our kids. We love our kids, and that's important. But also there has to be, like, this balance that comes through. Like, look, they're going to be introduced to stuff, and they're going to hear things, and they're going to see things that I might not know about, and are maybe not totally in my control, whether it's through friends or through their own connection with different media outlets. And so I need to teach them now, right now. If I love my kid, I want to help arm him with, like, the gadgets and tools and wisdom and knowledge to be able to see something and go, there's more to you than I see. What are you really trying to get into my brain and in my heart and in my life? And do I really need that? If not, no, I'm done. I'm not doing that. If so, like, at least I could see the good and be able to let that penetrate. And also just be able to think for themselves, to have a thought process about things, to be able to look at something and not just go, I'm going to follow that because, like, everyone liked it on whatever social media outlet or platform. But instead go, no, I'm able to think for myself. And here's my thoughts on this. And this is why I'm going to allow this or not allow this, or this is why I stand with this or I don't stand with that. Be able to make their own decisions about things. And what a better time than now, like when they're younger, to do that. We can start that at an early age, and we can keep helping them do that well on into their adulthood. But hopefully that's what my kids are catching, that I'm throwing at them when it comes to media. This story I'm about to tell is like what I'm talking about the impact of allowing them to choose, to decipher, to understand, and to make choices about what is getting thrown their way. So I took, as a youth pastor, I used to take kids on what I called a culture walk. And the idea was to walk into a mall and to go off on our separate ways, and then come back and share what you saw, the culture, like in the culture around you, and how did it make you feel? What do you think about that? And we just discuss it over like lunch or dinner or something like that in a food court or something. Well, I took one group of students out on a culture walk, and it was a mixed group of boys and girls, and they came back, and one girl, she was like, well, I saw that in this department store, that they were split down the middle, and right next to a male fitting room, right next to it was the woman's like underwear and bras and whatnot, and like there was a lot of bras that were meant for, or seemed to be geared towards, like teens and just the younger population. And guys were going in and out of there, like changing their clothes and whatever. And she was like, that for some reason that just stuck out to me. And I'm like, what's going on in your mind? And she starts talking. She's like, well, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm being undressed, like as guys are walking by, getting in their dressing room and coming out, and the first thing they see is these like undergarments of like ladies and whatnot. And she was like, I felt like really awkward and embarrassed, and I watched other women as guys were walking in and out, and it's like she wasn't, it was really cool how she put it, because she wasn't like, it's not the guy's fault that these things are here. And I was like, well, what is that telling you and whatnot? And she's like, well, it's telling me that like my stuff needs to be out there for the public to see. And she went on this whole tirade and like got on her soapbox. And I was like, okay, calm down. She's like, I was like, so what do you feel like doing? It seems like this is really bothering you. So what can you do about this and whatever? And she's like, you know what? I'm going to see if the store manager is there, and I'm going to ask the store manager like why this is particularly set up this way. And I was like, hey, I warned her. I was like, hey, look, we're not going to start a war in the middle of like a mall or something like that. I get it, but we're not some like crazy fanatics and whatnot. I don't want this like getting out of hand. But she was like, and she convinced me herself. She was like, no, I just want to have a conversation. And she did. She walked up, she went in, she asked for the store manager, and she began to tell, it was one of the coolest things. She began to tell the store manager like what she saw. And she was like, look, I really appreciate your store. But this right here, this doesn't seem right. And she's like, I'm watching other girls and they're feeling really weird. It's just right next to the men's like fitting room, and guys are coming out, and they're looking a little like, what's going on here? And they're looking at the bras, and it's right there in their faces. And she goes, the store manager was like, well, what do you think we should do about it? She's like, can you rearrange that section? If it has to be female like clothing, can we put pants there or something, or a shirt there? And dude, the store manager was like, all right. And they literally changed that part of their store. And like the store manager was like, look, we didn't mean to offend anyone. That was just the place that we put it. And, it looks like it was simple thing that we could correct. And like, we just apologize. And the girl was really gracious. Young lady was like, I was so proud of her, the way she carried herself. She was like, look, I get it. I just thought I might say something. I'm not really trying to harp on you. And she was being very gracious and being humble about it. And then it ended just like that. And I was like, look, when we teach our kids to catch things, they're able to make decisions and they can move on what they're like understanding. You know what I mean? And that, what a great, like, for me, it stuck with me. I mean, this was over, I don't know, 10 years ago, but like, it was something cool that really stuck with me about like when we really teach our kids to decipher what the media is thrown their way.
Yeah. Part of the process of raising up boys to become men is helping them to know how to discern and to interact with the things that are coming at them. Josh, you mentioned it. Alen, you mentioned that this is an intentional act of developing the boy to be able to handle the adult things when he becomes adult as a man, because he knows what that means. He knows what's expected, but also knows how. You know, those examples, Alen, that you were giving are ways to do it. You're modeling for them how to do it, right?
Yeah.
And building the relationship at the same time, for sure. But you're modeling it so that when they're on their own, whether that's still in the boyhood phase or once they've reached that manhood phase, they know how to do it, and they know the importance of doing it, and then they can begin to pass it on to the next generation coming behind them. Like this is part of the process of raising men, of raising adults. And I think you both have said that well, and it seems like you can't get started young enough with your boy to be able to empower and equip and help him to navigate this well, because we're only going to get more connected as technology evolves and advances. Well, Alen, what I hear in what you're saying is a lot of different things, but as we wrap up this episode, I think what stands out loudest is, so now you know, what are you going to do? And you know, you suggested that as a question or a way to interact with your kids as you're talking through whatever media it is that you're contemplating. But I would toss that out to you listeners. So now you know, we've created some discussion around media, and Alen and your significant, vast wisdom have given us some resources and some tools. So what are you going to do, Dad? What are you going to do? I don't know how old your kid is. Maybe you don't have a kid yet. Maybe you've got some that are within your influence. Maybe you've got desire to have kids down the road. Wherever you are, you have an opportunity with those around you to just engage more with the media that is coming at you and them. And so what are you going to do? How are you going to take this information and turn it into something actionable in your life, in the life of your family, or those that you have significant impact over? That's the question that we'll toss out as we wrap up today. Alen, as always, appreciate your insight and stories. Josh, likewise, your questions and your perspective. I appreciate you guys being here. Listeners, appreciate you being with us as well. Once again, a reminder that you can hit us up with any comments, thoughts, questions at our email address, feedback@thenextmanup.com. Or if you want to get us on Facebook, you can find us at NMU Journey. That's where we live there. All right, gentlemen, thanks for being with us today. Listeners, thanks for being with us today. We'll look forward to being with you again in a week. And until then, as always, adios.
Adios.
Hey, listeners, thanks for journeying with us on this Next Man Up podcast. We would love to hear from you. Maybe you have a question or an idea, perhaps a topic for us to consider. If that's you and you want to reach out to us, you can get us at feedback@thenextmanup.com. That's feedback@thenextmanup.com. Again, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we'll see you later.